another workshop. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, became his assistant. So how do you like this? Walking around one of the world's best photographers for the last 26 years. I mean, it's an awesome opportunity. And I still keep learning from them every day. So a lot of what I do is inspired by the website is not Roger. It's named after my grandfather. His first name was Achille in French. Because people would be very confused. I thought you were a finance guy. So that's why I changed the name. Okay. PPSOP.com is probably the largest photography school in the world. It stands for Brian Peterson School of Photography. And the subset to that is called YouTubeShooting.com. That's what we offer the class online. Written 3 books. The 4th is coming up very soon. One is called Painterly Expressions. And I guess what I'm known for is taking photographs and converting them into paintings, impressions typically, but post-impression or some abstract. I'll show you some examples of that. But again, all the pictures in those books are on my website. Now, of those 3 books, the second one is abstract, the other one is black and white. There's one there that completely outsells the others. Two. What do you think it is? Black and white. Completely. There's a fascination with black and white. And we'll discuss a little bit later as to why that is. Now, everybody's a photographer, right? How do you differentiate yourself? How do you develop an artistic genre? Well, I was always interested in impressionist paintings all my life. And I sort of show you how I do this with the camera. All right, learning how to see. There's 2 things that you've got to learn and practice and hone to make compelling photographs. Number 1 is elements of design. And secondly, elements of composition. And you've got to develop those skills somehow. And it's not about the gear. It's about this. The best student I ever had in a workshop had a point and shoot. We don't even allow people in our workshops with point and shoot. She insisted. Now, I couldn't believe the shots that she took. She's very, very creative with a point and shoot camera. Could have done it with an iPhone. All right. So you've got to practice those 2 things. Today, I'm going to focus on the second one, elements of composition, in the interest of time. And maybe some other session we'll do elements of design. But I will mention along the way some of the elements of design that are in the pictures I'm going to show you. So again, you don't take a picture, you make a picture. In order to do this, there's only 2 pathways: design elements, composition elements. All right, and the 2 go hand in hand. Elements of design, this is the only slide you're going to see on this topic. Maybe we'll reserve that for another session. But essentially, elements of design involve geometry. Their lines, their shapes, their forms, their textures, patterns. They have a voice, you know, they sort of anchor a picture. They kind of lead the viewer on the journey, you know, to where the photographer wants you to go. And they're really useful to know. But I think as important, of course, is elements of composition. And that's what we're going to focus on today, okay? I will come back to those pictures momentarily. All right, let's go. Here we go. Composition elements. All right, here they are. I'll go through them one at a time. And I use the case method. When I was a professor at the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, teaching business people, I always use the case method. The real world, you know. Right? I've had some professors of photography come to my workshops. Oh, it's the field that's important. Go out and do it on the field. Okay? So the case method, basically, you're going to see a lot of pictures, and you can generalize from those pictures. You can condition reflexes by using pictures. That's my goal here. All right, we're going to go through each one of them here. Let's see if the laser thing works here. Oh, yeah. Well, right here, you've got an example of filling the frame, which I'll come back to in a moment. Down here, you've got another one filling the frame. Both of those pictures I'll return to very shortly. All right, let's go with the first one, filling the frame. So what do you think that is, filling the frame? Let's go look at the first picture. Get close and personal. All right. Get intimate. Simplify the scene. I get to judge competitions everywhere, US, Canada. And the fundamental two mistakes people make is there's clutter in the picture. They don't fill the frame. Who's the subject? What are you trying to say? Who's on the marquee? Okay, who's the star of the show here? All right. You've got to fill the frame and simplify the scene. Okay. Overfill it if you have to. You know the KISS principle? Keep it simple. All right. An exercise that I get my students to do is just take flowers, which is in your field of interest, and get really close. And I'll show you some of those pictures in a moment. Get close and personal. There's the butterfly and the flower. That was taken on Jekyll Island. This is a picture of Jack. This Jack walked, he's a homeless. He walked from LA to Key West, Florida. It took him 3 years. And he's a homeless. He sits there in the marina where all people wait for the sunset and all that. So I gave him 20 bucks and he let me take his picture and talk about getting close and personal. Okay. Notice the background is blurred. That's important. You don't want any disturbances. You don't want uninvited guests around the main subject. Build a frame. This is my photographer friend model. Her name is Maya. She's from Prague, Czechoslovakia. She comes to all our workshops. She's a great model. And we're just walking around in Paris and saw this sculpture on the wall. So I said, why don't you give him a kiss and get close and personal? You can take a picture far away. It doesn't have the same impact. All right. Walking around Place d'Armes in Montreal. Saw this guy sitting there. Where would you take the picture? Where would you zero in on? You got it. Here's the person who can see creatively. She said the hands. The face was also an option. Well, let's take a look. See, you're right. Okay, get close and personal. Be intimate. Okay. The face would be another candidate. In my off days, I play keyboards, and this is the guitar player. His name is Rick. Again, you can take a picture of him playing guitar there, but also and much better. You can almost hear the music, you know. Get close and personal. We were doing an annual report for a company called a steel company. There were furnaces everywhere, and all of a sudden I saw this nail and just got close and personal. All right, another one. Here's a peacock. A peacock. I'm gonna pick on something. Where would you focus? Okay. Where would you zero in on? Where would you zero in on anybody? Okay. All right. I mean, that picture is. What are you trying to say? You know, it's a peacock and a fence, and you know, look at the fence and then. No, it's a peacock. Let's get close and personal. Both of you are right. There's all sorts of things going on in that picture. Coming to a little later. The rule of thirds. The golden ratio. Notice the 1/3 here. Another third here. The tic-tac-toe. Whoops, sorry. You always want to focus the object of interest along the rule of third. We're coming to that. Just teasing you a little bit. There's also all kinds of lines of design here. All right, look at these designs, lines. They almost zero on the face. This is where elements of design contribute to composition. There's also patterns, another element of design. It's got it all here. All right, next. Okay, I love junkyards. I really do. I spend a lot of time in junkyards. I see all kinds of things there. This is not interesting at all. What do you do? Newspaper at the bottom? This is the garden club. Of course, we gotta go with flowers. Okay, area. Food. Okay, we don't suffer from asphyxia anymore. Okay. All right, here it is. All right, the next picture is interesting. It all started off as a panning exercise. Panning is when you have a moving subject, a car, a horse, a bicycle, and anything that moves. And you simply go a tenth of a second, very slow exposure, and you track the person, the car, and the background is all blurred. So this was a panning exercise for my students. This was in Northern Ireland. And I just stood there and they were practicing and missing it, getting it, not getting it. And suddenly I looked at the chain and I said, oh, good example for my class. Okay. Get close and personal. You don't know what you're going to see. And it had dewdrops. It did rain that morning. I carried a little whiskey bottle with water. Not on this one. This was for real. All right. All right. That's so much for filling the frame. The next one, backgrounds. That's huge. Huge. Huge element of composition. There are 4 pictures here. This is simply Margaret. And I was wearing it was raining. This was in Kalispell, Montana, Glacier National Park. And I was wearing a red raincoat, and I had one of my students hold the raincoat from behind the flowers. Didn't want any clutter. Okay. This one, whoop, the other way. The other way, yeah. This one right here, I carry around my old Hawaiian shirt. Okay. It's in my camera bag. And if I see a subject, I will put my Hawaiian shirt behind the subject and take the picture. Okay. And that's what I did here in the second one. Background. This one here, this was an antique shop in Kalispell, Montana. This is kind of a freaky guy who was selling all kinds of stuff, including t-shirts, white t-shirts with the Constitution written on it, we the people are. And he crossed out the word people and put in we the corporations. Anyway, son said, you're taking my picture? Like freedom, son? You're sure you like freedom, son? Oh, yes, sir, I like freedom. And there were guns in the back and everything else. I got out of there pretty quick. But it makes a good picture. I took one of the blankets that he was selling and had the student move behind him for a background. So always worry about the background. All right, here's a picture. There's a UFO in there, right? Yeah, there's an uninvited guest, and you don't want that. So one way to do it is go into Photoshop and just delete, and it looks like this, okay? So we got to do some gardening, no pun intended here. All right. Here's a horrible picture, really. I mean, talk about uninvited guests. Ooh, so much interference, so many distractions here. I mean, the bird's great, but you know, you're looking all around. The only way you can do here is do a vertical. Okay, like this. And that eliminates a lot of the clutter. So be mindful of your backgrounds. Here's another one, a little squirrel. All this white stuff on the edges, you know, it's distracting, right? So you can crop the picture, or you can do a little bit of basic editing in Photoshop. And basically what you do in Photoshop is you take the lasso tool and you draw a lasso around here, and you let AI do the work. And here it is. Sorry, here. Well, this one's terrible. Ooh. Okay, mindful of your backgrounds. Well, here's a one of our popular workshops is Venice. And we go to Burano, not Burano, Buran, BU. And it's probably the most colorful village in the world. It really is. This is in the back alleys. And what the hell is this about? Paint colors, rose line, what are you trying to convey here? What's the message? There's so much chorus around this picture, okay? Well, what are you trying to convey here? That's what I would try to convey, yeah. Just focus, color, geometry, all that. We now go to Paris, and La Défense is an office complex. You would not expect that in Paris. It's very modern. And there's a kind of a tower like this with all these colorful columns. And I had one of my students sitting there. That's all right. It's a good tourist shot, I guess. But I want to get close and personal and get rid of that back. I don't want to see the building and the apartments and all that. So I got close and personal. One of the elements of design is to place a small object to get a sense of grandeur, of size, of magnanimity. And the way you do that is you put a small subject in the picture. And it makes everything look so grandiose. That's a good example of element of design out of a small element in the picture. All right, we're walking around Toronto in a workshop on Yonge Street, along the street, I think major cities in the world, 37 miles long. Anyway, this is the Ryerson Technical Institute. And I'm just walking around surveying the situation, getting ready for the workshop. And I look up here, yeah, there's all kinds of nuisance here. What are these people doing here? What's all this stuff? So I focused in on what I thought was interesting. There's all kinds of elements of design here. Leading lines, patterns, diamonds, geometries. You always look for that. There's another version of it behind the camera. You know what this is? It's a spaceship. No, I'm not kidding. I always try everything. I was on a National Geographic expedition in Antarctica a couple of years ago. I was the dumb guy in the smart class on that one. I was watching these pros. I thought they'd quit, they go home $20,000. It's a national. These guys, it's so hard I couldn't move them. They would take 100 pictures of the same thing. This way, and this way, and this way, and this way, stand up in different times of day, different light, on and on and on like this. With this picture, I just turned the camera. Yeah. 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 Do I use a zoom lens? It's a 24 to 105. So you can go wide angle, you can go this way. That's what I call a street zoom. It's very common. Now for birds, and I use a much longer. There's a zoom lens, of course, on the iPhone. It's a good one too. All right. Next one. That's a good question. You must be ahead of me here. Because to me, the zoom lens is much more of a compositional tool. It's not the idea of getting closer. It's the idea of composing. Because there's a rule in photography, okay, the higher the focal length, the more blurry the picture will become, the less is the depth of field. So you can see up here, wide angle, okay, 16 millimeters. 16 millimeters up here, 34, 50, 135, 200. Look at the background. The last one's completely blurry. I use that trick a lot. Suppose you were a flower and you had a bee on there. And I got close, the bee would fly away. So what I do, I get back and I use a zoom lens. And the zoom lens will blur the background anyway because it's a zoom lens. It's, and I'll take the picture from here, the bee's still there. A trick for your flowers, the bees and flowers.
All right. So the zoom lens to me is more of a compositional tool, not a way to get close. All right. Can I take the picture this way or this way? Everybody's like this, you know. How about this? Should it be this or this? When is the best time to do the vertical? Right after the horizontal. Okay. Do it both ways. All right. In other words, landscape versus portrait mode. I do it both. You see this L bracket here? I have a tripod and I can go like this in 2 seconds with the cell. Boom, boom, boom. You can do the same with the iPhone. All right, next slide. We'll give you some examples. We're now on my home turf in Nova Scotia. I live in Nova Scotia about 4 or 5 months a year because I'm originally from there. The left is, of course, the landscape. This is a marina in Dover, fishing villages. There are so many fishing villages in Nova Scotia. The island is 300 miles long and 6,000 miles of shoreline. So, Lighthouse Fishing Village, Lighthouse Fishing Village. Anyway, there's one. Which one do you like the best? That's up to you. Okay. To me, there's different emotions that are conveyed by the horizontal versus the vertical. To me, the horizontal, the one on the left, gives you a sense of calmness, a sense of sort of serenity. It's settled, you know. It's contemplative, you know. The vertical one on the right, well, it's strength, power, dignity, rigidity, you know, even movement sometimes. So it's different emotions conveyed by the two different pictures. I can't tell you which one is best. You are the judge. You are the artist. Villa Mariana, Jekyll Island Historical Village. Do a workshop there with Savannah as well in the picture. Hey, I shoot both horizontal and vertical. I'm not proud. I do both, okay? And the horizontal one encourages eye to do this. The vertical encourages the eye to go this. Okay. Again. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's true. The horizontal fills the frame more. The vertical narrows it down. It's more focused. But it's a different emotion completely. And I can't say which is better or worse. I think they both have their place. So what direction would you like the viewer to move the eyes? Like this or like that? Or both? All right, next. This is the Oregon coast near Lincoln, Oregon. The reason it looks a little color is because we use fluorescent filters. We just put a FLW filter here and it gives it that nice glow. Anyway, both pictures are fine. Shoot both. I'm not sure about that picture. I wouldn't like the one on that one. I would prefer this one in this particular example. This was done with telephoto lens. Here, the sky has a very minor role to play. Okay, it's a cameo appearance. You know, that's all it is. But later on, when we get to the rule of thirds, sometimes you want to reward the sky. You want to give it sort of a marquee position too. All right. Okay, another one. Here's a flower. Notice the blurred background. Uses a very, very wide open aperture. It means the lens is wide open. It blurs the background. The depth of field is very narrow. And here's the vertical. Again, it's up to you what you want to convey. I like both actually here. Both this one and this one. All right, the next picture in Labor Day, a few months ago, Labor Day in October, we had a workshop in Kodiak, Alaska. And this was an opportunity to see the famous bears eating salmon. So we were out there, we took a bush island plane in the water and ended up somewhere in the middle of nowhere, an hour from Kodiak, Alaska. And we took 2 days of just looking at the bears, doing the pictures. And I must have, I don't know, I must have 100 pictures of bear. You know, just couldn't help seeing those magnificent beasts. They have to increase their weight by 50% for hibernation. To do that, they do 50, 60 cents per day. Okay. And they're agile, they're making animals. But anyway, that's not the point here. The point is, there's the horizontal and here's the vertical. Okay. All right. Again, I don't know, I like both. This was a sunset. This is the Holland workshop is one of our favorite, one of the most popular workshops because we do everything. We do tulips and tulip fields and windmills and rivers and ocean. There's everything. Like and then Amsterdam and like it's awesome. And this was one night we're lucky. There's water everywhere in Holland, you know, as you know, and we saw the sun going down. And the reason for the reddish is simply put a reddish filter on the lens. Makes it look even more glorifying. Red filter. Notice the reflection. Reflection, keep that in mind. That's going to come in a few minutes. Reflection. There's the vertical. I don't know which one I like. Yeah, you're the artist, not me. All right. Hey, the rule of thirds, something you've all heard about. Okay. Rule of thirds. It's also called the golden ratio, or the golden rectangle. I call it 6x9. Simple. The idea here that it is to position the points of interest on the intersections. So you can see here, one intersection, another one, another one, another one. And all the points of interest are on the intersections of those lines. It gives a sense of discovery for some reason. The brain works that way. Sense of discovery to the eye. Okay. And a lot of studies have shown that when people look at a picture, they go from one intersection point to another. That's just the way the neurons work in your brain. So here's an example here. Notice where the stone is. Right here in the rule of third, and the intersection, and right here. Notice the sky perfectly at the rule of third and the third. Okay. Oh, avoid the center. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so tired of seeing pictures like this. I don't know why that is. It's just the way it is. Here's another example of the rule of thirds. Whenever you have a human, an animal, an insect, a bee, the eyes, the face, whatever, always put that on the intersection. Okay. That's a good example. Here's another one. Jekyll Island, the world famous Driftwood Beach. I had a place on Jekyll Island for about 30 years. And I must have gone to Driftwood Beach every day for, 365 days a year to take pictures when I'm in town. And this was done in a slow exposure. The reason for the milky flow is you do 1/10 of a second, 20th of a second, you slow down the shutter speed. And of course, you got to be on a tripod. It's very slow, usually 10 seconds. So you got to be on a tripod. Click. Takes the picture. Notice the rule of thirds here. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. The way you compose the picture. First of all, the sky here is about 1/3 of the way. Here's one object of interest. There's another point of interest. There's a diagonal too. Okay. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah. Black and white. I got this picture in color. I always take the color pictures, then I convert to black and white. Why the fascination and the interest and book sales on the black and white? I think color camouflages things, hides things. Black and white reveal mood, history, and the contracts, especially the contracts. Also, all the elements of design are revealed. It's almost like you're lifting a veil of color off to see what's really going on in the picture. And you see the patterns. Okay, for example. Anyway, that's another discussion. The next one is a slow exposure, 10 stop filter here. Obviously, when you're slowing to make say, how the hell do you take a picture of 10 seconds and it'll be all overexposed? So we put a thick pair of sunglasses in that. They call it density filter. Essentially, a thick pair of sunglasses. You can have very, very thick and not so thick. It's very. That's how you get away with this kind of picture. Notice the position of the person. Right, the line of third. This was actually unedited. It really looked like that. It's a place called Lobster Cove. There are lots of lobster coves in Nova Scotia. And we were coming home one night from the workshop, and boy, it was scary. I thought it was the end of the world happening. Anyway, but this picture has a particular significance to me, my career, because in Nova Scotia in July, they have a cavalcade of galleries. So you get a map and you go from gallery 1, gallery 2, gallery 4, and 5, and people exhibit their art. So I wanted to be part of this. So I went to see the president of this cavalcade of art and said, hey, you know, I'd like to be some nice stuff. And she says, you're a photographer. I said, yeah. She said, this is not the photography. This is the artist. I said, excuse me. Well, you're a photographer. This is not photography. I said, I can't go to Ansel Adams and artists. So anyway, I went home and I really got this. And that's when I started this conversion to Van Goghs and Monet and Renoirs and all of that. So I got home and took the same picture. And I put normal exposure on. So anyway, I took 9 exposures. You know, like and put them all together. And I put a texture on it. And I went back to see the woman I was in charge. I said, well, I'm also a painter. So I showed him that. And oh, God, thank heaven you're an artist. I was here. And when she found out about this, like, she hadn't spoken to me in 10 years. Anyway. God, that really annoyed me. Oh. Anyway. I did a presentation not long ago to SCAG and the College of Art and Design, one of the premier schools of art. I had a hard time, you know, converting painting to photographs, converting photographs into painting. People were upset. I was showing Monet's and mine. You couldn't tell the difference between the two. Oh my God. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, so we're talking about rule of thirds. Here's another one. Provence, of course. Look at the location. Would you like the tree in the middle? Yeah. You asphyxiate. All right. And notice the lines of the sign too. I was actually climbing on top of the van to take that picture. Remember the camera's a spaceship? Well, I couldn't fly high, so I went on top of the van. It was a rental. So, all right, rule of thirds again. Notice the shadows, and it's a very nice picture there. It's got the circle. Anyway, this is in Iceland. There's a place called Vix, V-I-X, and there's a place there called the Jewel Beach, Diamond Beach. And what happens? You got this mountain, and then raging glaciers coming down, raging rapids and everything. And as these big hunks of glaciers hit the ocean, it smashes to pieces. And it's like jewels, especially when the sun is starting to shine, it looks like jewels that are spread on the beach. This was on the channel. Notice the rule of third, the sky, the third, the glacier, the chunk of ice is also on the line of third. A couple of years ago, these business guys hired me to be their photographer for safari and Kruger National Park in Africa. What's important about this picture is where are the eyes and the face? Yeah, always picture a tic-tac-toe, okay? In your mind. In fact, some cameras have a tic-tac-toe right on the viewer. Place the eyes, the face, along those points of interest. Here's another example. We're back to Kodiak. Right. Here's another example. This is Silver State Park in Oregon. Notice the waterfalls and water trickle are both on lines of thirds. Right here. Line of thirds are good. On the third right here this way too, and this way. And this was done with a slow exposure. About 1/10 of a second or so. With a pair of sunglasses on the lens. Filtered. And now we go to Antarctica. This guy was posing for me, literally. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And you got a position right on the line of thirds, and line of thirds here. And notice the face is on that line, and then that line, the intersection. That's all the human eyes see. Back in Nova Scotia and Halifax, this is Maya, our model. And notice where she's positioned her eyes. There's also an interesting thing. You guys know a lot more about this than I do, the color wheel. Okay, I'm always trying to pick two spots that are opposites on the color wheel. So yellow is opposite to violet, right here, for example. It reinforces the picture. And that's what you see here. Violet, yellow, violet, yellow. And that's something else to think about, the color composition. All right. For some reason, this is very strange. There's a corollary to the rule of thirds, and that is the rule of odds. I don't know why, you know, Trinity, 3 people, you know, baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. Everything is 3s, you know. I don't know why that is, but there's 3 bears. This was done in the best place in the world to watch polar bears is Churchill in Manitoba. And we were in a tundra buggy and a company called Lazy Bear Expeditions. And we had a special treatment because we're all photographers. And the rule of thirds, the rule of odds here. I don't know why, but two bears wouldn't do it, you know. Or 4, there's something about the rule of 3. Both of these pictures. Okay. 3 flowers. Back to that safari in Africa. 3 zebras. Do you know why they all congregate together in kind of a strange formation? Because the zigzag lines, the predators can't tell where to connect. It's a defense mechanism. That's why they always run around like this. Where's the neck? No. Anyway, that's the rule of 3. Here's another 3. 3 giraffes. We don't like tie games, right? So, rule of 3. The eyes somehow prefer 3s and 3rds. No 50-50 in photography. That's I think this is in Lucca in Italy, in the Tuscany workshop. It's okay, it's 3 bottles of wine. And one of the things that I do a lot, I wrote a whole book on this, is convert into semi-abstract paintings. So what I do, I take this picture, and I will take a painter friend of mine, look at their easel. Okay, the easel is full of crap and paint and all that stuff, you know, I'll take a picture of that. And I have tons and tons and tons of those easels, these palettes that painters use. And I use a palette with that, I put one on top of the other in Photoshop and vary the degree of relationship between the two, and I get this, you know. And a friend of mine bought this for his wine cellar. He thinks it's the greatest thing. It's like bread. But anyway, that's how you can convert photographs into abstracts or semi-abstracts. Now, one of the challenges you have as a photographer, where do you do the horizon? Where do you place the horizon? Well, the conventional wisdom is on the intersection, the rule of thirds, but there are exceptions. Sometimes you have to break the rules. In this particular picture, to me, the sky was the star here, the marquee, if you wish, so to speak. All right. So here you want to showcase the sky rather than the little church. This is in what's it called? The Custer National Park in Wyoming, Cottonwood Schoolhouse, I think it's called. Again, who's the star here? This, oh, sorry, this or this? I don't know, this guy is, I guess it's all right. Yeah, it's kind of nice. This one, this guy's not nice at all here, so why you don't want to showcase it? This one, the stars are definitely the sunflowers. Although the background's pretty nice too. Okay. All right, so we continue our journey to creativity here, and we now look at symmetry. So now we're going to break all the rules of the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is very awkward. It's very dysfunctional when you're talking about symmetry. You don't want you don't want a rule of third right down the middle here. You want a symmetry, right? So it's okay to violate the rule of thirds at times. Here's a good example. It could be a building like this. This is in the Tuscany workshop, a little town called Pienza, outside of Siena. And obviously, you know, no rule of thirds here. You want symmetry. And of course, since I live about a mile away from this place, Nova Scotia, this is the famous Peggy's Lighthouse. This is what we call a star trail. This is actually tricky. This was 120 shots on the tripod, obviously, you can't move anything. And 30 seconds each one. So you sit there for a couple of hours. You hope no plane's gonna come and highlight the sky or something. And you just sit and wait for 2 hours. Because the earth is rotating, right? So it makes a circle, right? Star movements. And yeah. Yeah, did you know, well, probably didn't, this is the most photographed place in North America, in the top 5. The cruise ships and the buses, it never stops. But when you live there, you know when to go, when there's nobody around. The only problem with that, the first shot, was 130 shots. The first one, you have to light up the foreground. And so I basically parked my car right here with the headlights on. One shot. I want to do this on the palm trees here, Amelia somewhere. I'm working on it. Star Trek, good example of symmetry. You got a beautiful circle here. All right, so it's okay to break the rules sometimes. Here, we're now back in Holland, and Ryan was actually climbing on the van to do this picture. Remember the camera's a spaceship? Okay. This is a good example of symmetry and color and lines. That's me taking the same shot. Don't do that anymore. Anyway, here's a good example of reflections. You don't want half a reflection, right? So you got to do symmetry here when you're dealing with reflections. This is a flooded field near Blacksburg, Georgia. On my way back to Atlanta, I was doing that. So again, every rule has some exceptions, okay? But whenever I see water, I immediately, look for reflections, on the ground, see all kinds of things on water puddles, water bodies. They really lend themselves to reflections. So here's the exception. 50-50 is really a must when you're dealing with reflections. This is the famous St. Marco's place. The gondolas, we got there, get up at 5 o'clock and set up our tripods, and there's nobody at St. Marco's Square for another hour or so. And this is a 20th of a second shot. And it's symmetrical because you want the boats to reflect in the water. The sky is half here, it's not 2/3, because the whole idea is the reflections. All right. And then an hour later, the big cruise ships arrive, and there's 3 million people in the square. But that's over, by the way. They've abolished cruise ships now in Venice. So we're back in Peggy's Cove. A little bias here. But the first time I went there, the owner came up to me. I was doing things early in the morning. He says, Roger, you do realize this is the most photographed place in Canada, not the United States. What the hell are you going to do? That's different. You're a bit of an ass. So that's all I needed to hear. So I thought about it, and the next morning I went over there, and first of all, I found the pond. They call it Rogers Pond now. Anyway,
And I wanted the 1/3 thing. But what I did do, because the sun was just rising, this was all dark like this, okay? So I had the remote radio control flashes that I put in the box. It triggered our remote flash, and I put the orange gel in the cameras and did all the kind of things like this picture. And it's on a postcard now in Nova Scotia. I went back to the guy and said, "Oh, this is not, I think I've seen that before." Anyway, this is an example of reflections. While we're sitting on the pond here, my students at nightfall, it's gorgeous, the sky in Nova Scotia at night. The rule of thirds and there's reflections in here, the clouds, beautiful. I was just sitting there watching the students, take all kinds of pictures, and I just took a rock and I threw a rock in there. It's flat. And I went back to my car and it was parked. I said, "Holy God, there's a reflection in my window of my car. This is awesome." All right. All right. Now we're in Bavaria, back at the hotel, getting back in the car to go shooting. And I see this guy painting in the reflection on the green door. I said, "Oh my God, this is awesome. I have a reflection, I have shapes, I have elements of design, I have the rule of thirds, I have a frame, I have everything here." This is Rosslyn Lake in Alberta. You don't want half the mountain down there in the water, right? That's why it's 50-50. Okay, next one. Oh, so many people do this, mergers. What am I talking about here? What is a merger? A merger is when one subject covers another, they merge together, I mean, look at this, come on. You see the problem here? There's a merger between a horse and a human being, So this is much better. Okay, you want to avoid mergers. It causes you to asphyxiate when you see them. Here's another one. This is downtown Lyon in France where we start the Provence workshop. The lamp is touching the tower, and it kind of bothers me. So you want this, right? So watch mergers for mergers. Here's one that's bad. It's St. Marco's Square. Part of the lamp is touching the tower, St. Marco's Tower. So you don't want that. There's a reflection there. Blew it because of the merger. This is a famous Blue Rocks, Nova Scotia, referred to by the locals as a poor man's Peggy's Cove. Anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous there. That's bad picture. Because the boat is merging with the cabin, the fish house, and you don't want that. Wait for the boat to go or move or do something to avoid the merge. All right, next one, composition element, scale. So when you want to provide scope to a picture, grandeur, include a smaller object relative to the surroundings. And you can see the picture right there. I asked my model stand there. And of course, you got the leading lines, they're sitting on top of the car again, a line like this. And again, it's kind of interesting because the smaller the subject relative to the surroundings, the more it stands out for some reason. It's just weird. All right. And the large foreground here creates an illusion of depth. It looks greater than it actually is. But anyway, here's another example. I had the nerve to ask Brian to go and stand on the bridge and put up his camera. I took 25 pictures of this. Some of it, the reflections were not right. Some of they were. Here's an example of a smaller body. The small boater magnifies the windmills, doesn't it? Notice the rule of three. You don't want 2 windmills or 4. It has to be 3. All right, now we're back in Toronto, the workshop. And I was watching this worker. She gives you a sense of the height of the building, the grandeur of the building. Oh, here's scale everywhere in the next picture. Oh, this is a great spot. Iceland. Lots of churches in Iceland in isolated areas because the farms are so large. They're literally miles long. You don't want to go to church and drive 20 miles. So everybody has their own church on their properties. There's lots of those everywhere. And they make great photography, especially when they're red like this. All right, the next one,
framing. I call this the picture window. Okay, the picture window. Framing within the frame. This is in Hawaii. Forgotten where we were there. But anyway, I just backed up in between the branches and took a picture of the blue chairs. We're back in by the way, the world is full of objects that make good frames. You know, trees and archways, and holes, windows, columns, you know, and you try to place these frames around the edge of the composition. That really helps you isolate the subject. A much more focused image is the result. And it kind of draws your eye, boom, right on the chairs. Here's another example. This is, again, Peggy's Cove. And the anchor there, the triangle highlights the red boat. Now I'm going to ask you a question about framing. All right, we're walking along. This is the Ireland, Friedland, Northeast Island Workshop near a town called Hoorn, H-O-O-R-N. And there's all kinds of windmills. All right, where would you take that picture? Can you see a frame somewhere? The gates. Awesome. The gates is absolutely correct. So we walk, and I got on the floor. Remember the cameras? It's a spaceship here. Okay. Completely different picture. Okay. All it is framing the picture. I'm not here. All right. Framing the picture is important. You don't want tunnel vision. Okay? You need boundaries to contain, to complement. You want to lasso sort of the main subject here. All right. Oh, this is very interesting. We were in Lyon, France, beginning of the workshop, early in the morning in the parking lot. And this lady says, what are you guys doing here with all these tripods and, you know, photography, privacy, you know? And I looked at her and I said, I see a frame. Do you see a frame? Do you guys see a frame? I do. All right. Got close. Yeah. And then I make sure she signed the waiver. And people, I do this all the time in this day and age, but people love, a lot of you love the pictures to be taken, especially if they give you their email and I send them a picture, which I always do. So every picture is waiting inside another picture. Think of it that way. All right. Kind of zoom in on a small part of the scene. You can do this with your telephoto lens, for example. Let's go back one picture. I'll show you something else. Do you see something in the car that will attract your attention? Yeah, that makes a great abstract. Reflections in the windows of buildings. Okay. I'm always walking around looking at cars and some people think I'm going to steal their car or something. Oh, this is Mount Hood in Oregon. That's a no-brainer. I mean, Mount Hood. Now maybe the vertical's better here. No, I don't know. They both have. The next picture is the Trossachs Mountains in Scotland. We're doing a workshop in that area, North Scotland. Island, man, I forgot the name of the place. Anyway, we were walking around. This is not fixed or not edited. We just walked around and saw a mother and a sheep, a baby sheep, and right through the frames. And I thought this is a perfect example. So this is Trossach Mountains in Scotland. This is the classic Arches National Monument in Utah. I've seen that picture everywhere. Okay. This is in Lyon in the morning, getting ready for the workshop. Lyon is an absolutely beautiful city. There's two rivers there, the Somme and the Rhone. Both rivers run through the town. On one side is old Roman, the other side is medieval. It's just gorgeous there. Let alone the cuisine. Oh my God. Anyway, another example of framing. This is a triple frame. This is a little boy this is back in, remember I was telling you about Burano, the most colorful city. And this little kid was sitting there and I just ruled on this because there's all kinds of frames here. There's no rule of thirds here because I want to accentuate multiple frames. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. And also the color contrast, yellow and red. So again, framing. Okay. All right. Then there's a miscellaneous category, basically the spaceship thing. The camera moving around, take pictures in different directions, different angles. Work your subject, that's what I'm saying here. Okay, try different viewpoints, chip away, change your point of view, change the time of day. The revolving spaceship, the camera, okay? Shoot from above, shoot from below, shoot from the side. I do this all the time. Here's some examples. Okay. Now, shoot from above. This is actually Brian in the entrance to Jekyll Island Park. You just got down the wildflowers, you know, change your point of view. It's lunchtime in Amsterdam. Of course, there's bicycles everywhere in Amsterdam and tulips. So I looked at this and I was kind of restless. And I saw the stairway. I saw the stairway in the back. Guess what I'm going to do? Go up the stairway and look down on the bike. Okay, change your point of view. Here's another example at the top of the bridge looking down at the farmer. Shoot down, shoot up, shoot above, shoot from below. This again, we're back in Burano, and this cat was literally posing, so I literally lay down completely. I have trouble getting up now, but I still do it. And you know, this cat just sat there. I had to take maybe 30, 40 shots before I got it right. And you get Burano. Here's another example. Got down really low on that one. Okay. Really low. Pretend you're a bee or a bird or something and you're looking at it. You have a completely different perspective of things, especially with flowers. Consider other viewpoints, you know. In my house in Nova Scotia, it's on the ocean right there. There's a lighthouse. And there's a cove here on the left. And that's the cove right here. And we have these lobster cages. Everybody has lobster cages in their backyards. So I kind of thought about it. I said, what would a lobster look at? What's a lobster look at? So I got close to one of the lobster cages and, you know, took the picture. Consider other points of view. I'm going to put a lobster next summer when I go in there and get claws in them. If I can find one. Shoot down, shoot up, shoot from above, shoot from below. All right, consider other viewpoints. This is New York. This is a tourist shot. You know, what are you trying to say? What's the point here? Well, use your zoom lens, 80 to 400 millimeter lens. Your aperture priority means the size of the open and the shutter speed, the open is. Anyway, here's the picture, much better at this thing. Consider other points of view. In Nova Scotia, you have to get your mail at a central point, and there's a place where you go and get your mail up here in that building. And here's the ship or an old boat. It's a big deal. And get closer. That's interesting. Oh, I'm gonna lie down, sit right in front of the boat, take a picture. I get this. Then I zeroed in on the numbers, 59. You know, work your subject, consider other points of view. It's a spaceship, it's not a camera. Same with the iPhone. Here's another example. Okay, step closer and get close to the ground and, you know, I don't know if you noticed this, I only noticed it later, there's kind of a, this is okay, but that's much better. Because I literally laid on the ground. I carry a green garbage bag and I lay it out, lay on it, so I don't get all dirty and filthy. And I do that a lot. And you get a completely different sense here. All right. All right. And one day we're driving around in Bavaria, just looking for a spot. The day before a workshop, I try to scout things, see if I can find something there. And I found this dirt road and all the pears had come off the tree. So I literally got down got out of the car, on the ground with Brian, and he had the idea, not me. And I said, oh my God, this is a completely different picture again. All right. All right. We're now back in Blue Rocks, poor man's Peggy's Cove. We're driving along and I stopped the car, the van, and there are 4 students in the back. I said, what would you do here that's different? I said, the camera's a spaceship. What would you do? And one guy said, well, I'll step out of the car first and maybe I'll shoot wider angle. I said, well, I tell you what I would do. I would get out of the car, put my camera on the ground, shoot a wider angle and see this. Completely different picture. Okay, from this to this. Again, the idea is to change your point of view. All right, we've covered, okay, here. We've covered a lot of things here. One thing you can do is have a theme. You know, some people like certain species of flowers, others like shutters or doors or leaves or barns or ghost towns, shells or light, different light, same location. I like kind of like doors a lot. I like mailboxes. Ooh, I love mailboxes. There's 3 of them. Okay, let me go somewhere for a second. Let me, you guys are the guardians. Let's go. Let me get out here for a second and go to something else. Go to my phone. Remember filling the frame? Here's some examples. I dug them out of my archives. The flower, not as good as you guys are at flower pictures, but again, fill the frame like this. Okay. Fill the frame more. Oh my God. Really getting close now. Fill the frame. Here's an example. This one I cheated, the spray bottle. And actually, this is outside the realms of this thing, but there's a thing here, right here. A big drop and it reflects things upside down. And I got really close to that, took a picture, saw what was in the back upside down. Anyway, here's a raspberry. Okay, that's all right. Okay. Rule of thirds, not too many UFOs. It's all right. Here's a close-up. This is in Iceland. There's some really weird flowers. I'm not a specialist in flowers, but I thought they were gorgeous. This is a pond outside my house in Nova Scotia. This is in South Africa, at the very, very tip of South Africa. Flowers in the background. You can stage them too, you know. I stage things all the time. I'll see a stone or a bark on a tree and I'll shove the flower in there in the park. And I do this all the time. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, remember I was telling you that one of my things is to convert photos into impressionist paintings. So this is an ordinary field of flowers. This was in Nova Scotia somewhere. I just did multiple exposure. Both cameras allow you to do multiple exposures. By the way, talking about multiple exposures, on the iPhone, there's an app called Snapseed, and I strongly encourage you to download it. It's free. Snapseed. Snapseed. Seed like a seed. And all kinds of, it's free. It's one of the most popular apps for photographers on the iPhone by far. And it allows you to do all kinds of things, change colors, go black and white, see filters, but it also allows you to do multiple exposures. So what I did with my Canon camera, I took 9 exposures and I drew the figure camera, you know, the camera puts them all together. It's amazing cameras now what they can do. And it looks like a Monet. Yeah. Okay. I hesitate to show you this. This is a flower. I'm doing a lecture next week on AI and photography, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not sure if this is the good or the ugly, but anyway, let's go. Here's the original image, and you use what we call generating fill. You just put it on Photoshop and you type something, just a prompt, no camera, nothing, as long as you got a picture, prompt. And I typed in first one, doodle drawing. The second one is dripping. The third one is fantastic bathing and felt painting, you know, all kinds. You know, you can do all these things with AI. I'm not sure if we're beyond the watercolors on the left, the woodcut arts in the middle, the yarn, my life would love that, the yarn art. I mean, you know, it's all done with AI. You know, where do you draw the line between photography and AI? I don't know. Yes. Like a seed. S-E-E-D, seed. One word. And it's very easy to use. Yes, questions? Questions? Okay, what you do is you go to Photoshop or one of the AI sites, and there's a space where you type in a prompt, a text, any text you want. Red barn, mountain, snowy, white cloud, fluffy, whatever, and then you generate the picture for you. They'll give you 6 or 7 variations of it. And this, yeah, you can make something, yeah, absolutely. There's a filter in the new Photoshop where you take pictures, old black and white family photos, to make them really, really nice. You can also make them younger and change their personality. Did that answer the question? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, you don't even need a picture. You don't need a camera. Just sit there and just use a prompt. Any prompt you want. Oh yeah, the old photographs, I've done that a lot. If I can do this, let me see here. Question, that's interesting if you bring that up. Let me go to PowerPoint here. Let me go to the other presentation. I have it here. Yeah, I do, I think so. Let me see if I have it down here somewhere. I'll show you the kinds of things that AI can do. Well, here's the Monet stuff. I told you the story of that picture, right? Now, here's, oh, might as well show it to you. This is all interesting stuff to me anyway. Slideshow, current slide. Okay, we're walking around Bergen in Norway, one of our favorite places to photo shoot. There was sort of a reliving of historical figures, and people are all dressed like in the old days. And of course, I love Renoir. This is a Renoir picture, nothing to do with me. And I wanted to convert this into what would Renoir do? So I converted it. It looks like this. Okay. And here's the street again in Bergen, the Hanseatic street where all the old merchants used to do business in the 1500s. And I wanted to look like a Renoir, like this. People in SCAD were not very happy with me. Here's the one I just showed you, right? Here's another one. Just water fountains, just go along the road, you know, just do multiple exposure. There's another one. There's another one. These are all Monets. Look, before, after. Now, you were asking about, let's see if I can find this picture. It's amazing what you can do with the camera. I don't think I have it here. This is the thing that will scare you. I'll finish with this. All right. There's a group of German physicists and photographers. They came up with a neural network, an algorithm, an AI algorithm to recreate photos in the style of any artist. Van Gogh, Monet, whoever, Braque, Picasso, whatever. So they took this picture, the original, let me blow it up for you. So they took this picture of a street in Amsterdam. This is the original image, and they fed that into the algorithm to be reimagined in the style of Van Gogh and others. This was the Van Gogh version. I mean, come on. The next one is in the style of Picasso. The same picture. This is in the style of Constable and Turner, of course. This is Kandinsky, the great, superb abstract painter. Okay. I kind of felt bad. I said, well, my picture looks like, you know, I look kind of like this. This is a cove next to my house in Nova Scotia. Anyway, the bottom line of that lecture I'm doing next week is this, you know, that lots of dangers and ethical issues and privacy issues, but you have to accept it. It's here now, okay? My only concern is in competition where I get to judge a lot. There has to be a distinction between pictures done with AI and pictures done with a camera. That has to be a separate category as far as I'm concerned. But Amelia Island Club, a week from today. Anyway, questions? Yeah, please. Yeah. No, it's considered AI, but your phone has all kinds of AI. The best example is the portrait mode. It automatically identifies the subject and blurs the background for you. That's perfect AI. So all the editing that Photoshop does, that's all AI. So it's already here. It's just an extension of what's possible.
Classes. You go all over the world and you teach photography.
Yeah, we take 8 students. You go to the Brian School of Photography, and what we do is we do about 12 workshops, a little less now, maybe 10. And we basically go around the earth. We start off in Nova Scotia, then Iceland. Iceland's awesome. And then we go to Norway, then we go down to France to do the lavender fields. Then we go to Tuscany and Prague and Singapore, although I'm not going there anymore. All the way down to New Zealand, then back up to the US and do the Oregon coast, a lot of the US. Yeah. So. Yeah. Questions? Yeah, I use Photoshop, Lightroom and Photoshop together. That's sort of the standard in the industry. And you can do a lot of editing in Snapseed. Surprising. The problem with iPhone is the limited resolution. You know, the pictures that I do, you know, they can be that big, you know, and you can't do that with iPhone. Although there are 3 leaders in the editing field. Obviously, Photoshop is one. Topaz is the other. Topaz is awesome. They will eliminate the noise. When you take a picture, it's pixels. The analogy I use is it's like a golf ball, you know, or a goose pimples, you know. And what Topaz manages to do is create a much more smoother, eliminate all that noise from the golf ball effect. And it also will make your picture bigger. It will also sharpen the picture, you know. So Topaz and Photoshop, Lightroom, those are the big 3 that people use. Topaz is one, Photoshop and Lightroom. Yeah, Photoshop and Lightroom, what a deal. You pay $10 a month and you get both. Lightroom, yeah, like a Lightroom. That's what I used a moment ago here. Lightroom, okay, here's Lightroom right here. Oh, you were talking about your question on restoring Photoshops. This is my grandparents. That's a long time ago. And I dug out all these old photos and I fed them through the neural filter in Photoshop. Look, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Now, the next one is my wife, Susan, and my daughter, Melanie, who is now 50. Do the math, how long ago this was. And I went through the neural filter. Look, I mean, this is incredible. That's what AI can do. Look, the black and white version is even better. This is really, really, really old. This is the parents of my grandparents. And look, I mean, that's unbelievable. So, you know, there's a lot of pluses with AI. Yes. Yes. I teach editing. No, yes, you do. Take a picture. Yeah, all my pictures have been digitized. Okay. Move on. Get rid of all that noise. Yeah. Oh, I can tell. Yeah, I can tell. I've seen, I've known the pictures in the last 27 years. I can tell. There's something cartoonish. I can use that word, something funny about AI driven pictures. You can tell. I can tell right away. Now, I can't tell how much editing I've done. That's okay. But that I can tell. I had a fight recently with the other two departments that didn't know crap. And they said, no, that's not fair. That's AI, pure AI. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. This one, 24 to 1.5. Yeah, I have a wide angle lens, 14 degree wide angle, and I have a telephoto. A telephoto lens. 24 to 1.5 is the go-to lens. You don't want wide angle to be seen, go to 14 millimeter. And if you want to bring objects closer to you or blur background, the telephoto, like the bears, I'll ask you. That was good. 400. Yeah. No, I just took the picture. I scanned the old pictures, but it was found in the ad. Right. I took the pictures in the box, the shoe box in the ad, and I scanned them. Okay. And I scanned the pictures and then I put them in Photoshop. Yeah, Photoshop neural filters. One of the neural filters is to correct old pictures. That's really neat, but even if you're not a photographer or gardener, you want to do something with your old pictures, that's the way to do it. Yeah, the best standards are typically, I would go with Canon. Canon.
Couple more questions and then we'll end it.
Yes.
I'm in the market for new hat.
Oh.
So what's the case?
Well, in workshops in the last 25 years, it's always been half and half. Half the students have Nikon, the other half have Canon. But now it's changed a lot. There's a lot of Sony's. So Sony's very good. So any one of those three brands would be good. Yeah, you want a mirrorless camera because they're much lighter to use. It's amazing what they can do now. I'll give you one example. Suppose I take this picture right here, all of you, and I want everything in focus. This is not going to happen. So a Canon camera can do what they call focus stacking. You go focus on you, focus on you, focus on you, focus on, and it puts it all together in the perfect focus. It's called focus stacking. It's all done in camera. That's amazing. It's an MRI, basically.
Nobody asked this question. He asked, a question wrote here, and the question that he almost always gets asked. I have to know the answer, but I have some information. Where is your favorite place to photograph?
I get asked that all the time, except everything's my favorite place. I can take a picture of the doorknob here, do something with it, and then go flash or something. But if you put a gun in my head, it would definitely be Iceland. Because there's everything. You're driving your car, suddenly be in the desert. All of a sudden you're in the volcanic eruptions. All of a sudden you see geysers like in Old Faithful. All of a sudden you see these giant mountains of glaciers, and you see, of course, the Northern Lights. It's scary. There's everything there. Everything. People are nice. And, yeah.
This is more of a spontaneous answer for you. When you're asked the question, what's your most memorable photo? What's the first one that comes to mind?
Did we see it?
No. Yeah, there is one that I like a lot. Show it to you if I can find it. That's a good question. Probably that one. And that's the view from near my house, Peggy's Cove. I like that a lot. In the preservation area, it's all a big park, and the red carpet in the fall and the foreground, it's just gorgeous. That would be one.
All right. Thank you very much.